Celebrated for the first time as the youngest driver to lead a race, to take a podium and to win a race. Max Verstappen returns at the ripe old age of 24 here in Barcelona on this scorching hot Sunday afternoon.
What's up, guys? It is Richie here, bringing you season 2, episode 9 of the F1 podcast. It is Monday. Good question. What is it? Monday, May 23rd. And we are filming this right after the 2022 Spanish Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen and Red Bull went 1 and 2, and have now taken the lead in both the drivers and the constructors. I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Andrew and Erica. Hello, team. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. And yourselves?
Not bad. Came back from Arizona. Got a little color.
Yeah, you're looking pretty fine, Andrew. How was your golf game?
Had my moments. Had more good shots than bad shots. That was important. I played some of the best 9 holes of my entire life.
Nice.
At this one course called Eagle Mountain, north of Scottsdale. I say any golf nut listening to this podcast, recommend you go to Scottsdale, Arizona for golf. There's some just incredible golf courses north and east of the city, as well as in the town itself. Just being able, it's so cool. You're playing desert golf, but in like a mountainous range.
So question to that then, is that where the Waste Management Open is?
Yeah. So Tpc Scottsdale every year hosts the Waste Management Open, but I've played Tpc Scottsdale. It's a great time to go for, to say you've played it, obviously, but there's just for value. There's so many good courses north and east of the city. I played at Sunridge Canyon up in Fountain Hills, which is east of Scottsdale or northeast of Scottsdale. Eagle Mountain, place called Rancho Mañana up in Cave Creek. They were just some of the most gorgeous courses I've played in terms of the views as well. Yeah,
I would definitely love to do that. I've played Pinehurst in North Carolina, and
that's sick.
That was pretty cool to play on the same course that Payne Stewart won the 1999 US Open. But obviously, this is not a golf podcast, but we'll definitely put those recommendations in the comment section below. I'm
just sitting here like, yeah, hitting balls with sticks. Oh, yes.
I mean, it's probably more entertaining than the first couple of laps of the Spanish Grand Prix, or anytime we go to Spain for a race. It was an interesting weekend. Where to start? I think Red Bull definitely had the better of the week, and it really showed. There's obviously a lot of controversy with Red Bull to start this week of teams trying to copy them. And just Ferrari is just. I'm not confident going into Monaco, and I really hope that we can figure it out. But I think this was Carlos Sainz's first highest top finish for him at his home Grand Prix. Too bad it was like one away from the podium. But also we were starting to see. Is it 2? Was it 2 away? I thought he
didn't Russell pass at the end.
Correct. Yes, it was. So he was P5. I thought he was P4.
Lewis, sorry.
It was Lewis. So, and speaking about Lewis and Mercedes, maybe the comebacks, the sleeper picks in fantasy. But why not open it up to the pod? What do you guys think of this weekend?
I was excited. Mercedes, I mean, obviously a very slow start to the season for them, and everyone was kind of wondering, what the heck happened, but it seems like they've got the let out now. Not an ideal situation for Lewis to start the GP, but George got a great start, and after the first lap and everything was kind of sitting pretty in P3, P2, putting the pressure on Max, which was really exciting to see. And Lewis, driver of the day, very well deserved to kind of battle his way back through the field after that incident in lap 1 to get back and come to 4th place, and to see like the 2 Red Bulls and the 2 Mercedes back to back was like, oh hey, this is what we're used to seeing. Obviously not, I think, how people would ideally have wanted the week to go, given how we've seen some of the other teams perform, but it's nice to know that the work they did over the last 2 weeks is really paying off, and that it's the kind of incremental progression we would expect to see from Mercedes.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing, especially comparing the teams, like the amount of teams or the amount of upgrades that teams brought Like for instance, McLaren brought the most of 10. And it didn't seem to really all help them in the race pace with regards to, not finishing high. I think Danny Rick had you didn't really see much of them in the race. Lando made a few moves, finished up, what was it, P8, I think?
Lando was P8, yeah.
Yeah, and then Ricardo was P13, so not really much. My boys Aston Martin decided to go copy paste on Red Bull's concept, and clearly did not work at all because they were horrible. Vettel like 12th and 13th, and Stroll was just I think 15th or 16th, and qualifying they were out in Q1. It was just a joke. But you bring 8 upgrades and didn't even work out at all. While you have teams like Haas who brought no upgrades and they remained to be competitive. Both cars going into Q3. Unfortunately, K-Mag had an incident with Lewis on lap 1 that kind of screwed his race. But Schumi was in the points for the most part. And then unfortunately, the tire strategy kind of got the best of him, and he lost key positions there at the end. But again, like, it's crazy to think that you had McLaren come with 10 cars or 10 upgrades. Haas came with 0. And some can make an argument that Haas had an overall better weekend than McLaren going forward. No offense to you, Erica, whatsoever.
Oh, no.
It's just interesting seeing like how these upgrades have really affected the cars, and the fact that Haas brought 0 upgrades. It's I guess really important to see where they upgrade overall. And I think, as you mentioned, Mercedes did the best job with their upgrades this week because they were incredibly fast out there. Lewis Hamilton had some of the fastest race pace of the entire weekend, which is going to be interesting, especially when we start battling for P3 in the constructors.
Especially keep in mind, Andrew, that him and Magnussen both collided in the first lap, and then forced him to go to the bottom of the grid. And then typical Lewis fashion, never count him out. And he first, if you remember the radio, and I will put this in the pod, that he's just like, do I even really want to bother anymore? Do I really want to keep going?
Should we just save the engine?
Yeah.
I would save this engine, guys, if I was you. Sorry.
But he ended up fighting, but he said like you get P8 or better. He finished P4 or P5 because there was a DNF issue because Heinz overtook him at the end there. Because the car was overheating with regards to the temperatures. But imagine to think if he did not have that issue with K-Mag at the start, Mercedes could have been up, close to winning this race, because George ended up fending off, Max for I don't know how many laps at the start there. It seemed like at least 8 to 10 laps, because I also think due to the result that Red Bull had a DRS issue with Max's car this weekend. Which, I don't get how you have a DRS issue with regards to the technical component. It works and then it doesn't work. You have to be off the curb before it to work. I was just like, what?
I was pressing the frickin' button.
Gap 0.6. DRS did not open. Max, I think you may have closed it last time around.
Because I'm pressing it 50 times before it opens.
Just try one button press after the curb.
I was pressing the frickin' button.
The only thing I could think of is when they were talking about the curb, is if it was some kind of poorly set up piece where, the momentum and kind of the action of the car coming off of a curb would cause it to shut if you've already opened it, which doesn't make sense, because that just seems like a bad job on the part of whoever set that up, if that's what was going on. But
I love GP though, Max's race engineer. He's just so cool and collected over the radio. Max is screaming, I've pressed the DRS button 50 effing times. What are we doing? He goes press the button 1 time after the curve.
Just very calmly repeating himself.
And it ended up working in the end. I think though Red Bull have maybe another issue on their hands after this weekend with regards to driver morale.
Yeah.
But we will talk about that a little later.
Can we also just take in that Alfa Romeo is 5th in the constructors right now?
mind-blowing, in my opinion, if you think about where they've been at the last few seasons.
And they brought 8 upgrades this weekend. And if it wasn't for a technical issue, I wonder if Joe would have been able to cut through the field and score points as well with Valtteri, because tired strategy got the best of a couple people. It was definitely a 3-stopper this week as opposed to a 2-stop. We saw this in Bahrain as well. I just think with regards to track temperatures and the new tires, it just does not bode well for the rubber, and they're just eating them alive. So I think we're going to start seeing more of these 3-stop strategies go for teams, especially when they play on or when they drive on really hot tracks.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Especially I don't know, we've just had so many issues with the hard compound tire so far this season too, in terms of getting it at the right temperature, that being on a hot track like that, I feel is just going to absolutely wreck them. So I know a lot of the teams, they didn't even want to use the hard tire. They were just staying on the medium compound, right?
No one wanted to use the hard tire.
Except
for
Cag back. Yeah.
But you could tell his race pace was just off a cliff at that point. It was so slow on that tire. I think that's a real big issue that Pirelli have to start figuring out, because this is starting to really limit teams on what they can do for their tire strategy. Because hards in a way are good to have for, in my opinion, I think hards can play an important part in the race. But if they're just undrivable, then it's just you're kind of sticking to 2 tires only.
Track temperature was 49 degrees Celsius. I saw that they were showing on TV, and I think it was 30 something. Just heat
it was
temperature.
34, 35 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm melting over here when it's 22 in Ontario. But
I'll tell you what, though, it was 37 to 40 degrees consistently in Arizona, but with the dry heat, it did not feel hot at all.
Fair.
I was wearing, it was maybe 28 degrees at night, and I actually had to wear pants because I thought it was a little cold.
Hey guys, it is Richie here, just taking a quick break from the podcast as we were slightly going off topic to highlight some of our social media channels. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram at the F1 Podcast. And thank you again for all the support you guys have been providing us, and we hope to see you in our next episode, and let us know what your thoughts are about Monaco for next week. Please submit in our comment section below. Enough about me talking, let's get back into the pod. What happened to another highlight? So Alpine, there were some issues with Fernando Alonso's pit stop there. Do you know what exactly happened there? But also, let's just talk in that Esteban Ocon, I think he's carrying the team, to be honest. Probably the best. He came, I think, P7 this week. So,
oh dang! And they didn't make it out of Q1, did they? Either car.
No, because Alonso took a grid penalty, 3 points just to go back to take a new engine, and he finished in P9.
Oh, dang.
Really impressive double points finish for them again. I think they got the start of something pretty good over there at Alpine, and I think Otmar's kind of taken this team to another level in that case. I find Fernando's comments about the stewards pretty funny this week. And
I missed that part. What did he say?
I think he said they needed to be former race drivers to kind of really gauge an understanding of what they need to do for racetrack or for racing rules, because during qualifying, I know it was interesting, during qualifying the tires are getting really eaten up because of these new speed rules that you have to be at a certain delta time on your out lap. So you can't warm up the tires in the pit lane anymore. You had to do it out on the out lap. And because the way they had the pace that they had to go, it'd be within a certain delta. They were just kind of eating the tires away pretty good until they went on the until they did the lap. So there was some tough qualifying with regards to that. with regards to those changes, I really don't understand that. I think that maybe they're just trying to like give everybody a chance to be able to do a final lap and not, part of the get stuck in that part of the strategy where they get caught out in the middle of the train and then they couldn't meet the final lap. But hey, this is F1. This is all about strategy as well, to regards to qualifying. Let that happen.
It's knowing when to release your cars and to get them out there so that you avoid those situations.
Exactly. These are professional teams. These are a professional sport. Like, this is all part of the professional strategy that is F1. So I get where I get where, the frustrations are coming from Alonso's side. I think he would make a great F1 steward when he retires. It would be funny
Maximum
if him,
penalties.
yeah, him and Kimi had if him and Kimi
Oh
were
my
the two,
gosh.
it would be the best.
Petition to get Kimi and Alonso to be F1 steward.
Because Alonso would make a rule and then Kimi would just not care. He'd be like, okay.
I just imagine, think if we still had the calls from the pit wall to the stewards and stuff that we could hear during a race, like if Kimi was on the receiving end of those.
Yeah, it'd be so good.
Oh my gosh. Kimi, if you're out there, hope you're doing well, man. We miss you.
Apparently, I saw on Reddit that speaking about Kimi, some people had, I guess, like an F1 combo going in, and they accidentally added Kimi Räikkönen into it. And then Kimi just responded. He's like, "Yeah, it looks fun. I like what you guys got in here." Just like, so.
Maybe we should accidentally do that then for our podcast.
This is a call out to not only sponsors, but F1 drivers, former F1 drivers, anyone who likes racing. You know what? Listen, we're starting to get some requests in. So please submit your requests if you want to be on the pod. We'll let the team here will decide and we'll figure it out. So
we want to talk to you.
Speaking about fan questions, I unfortunately didn't get anything this week. But I want to talk about how Sebastian Vettel, he's just not getting any luck this season. His bag got stolen. So on the advice of the Spanish police to not go chasing for it, he ended up going chasing on it on a scooter.
Of course.
And he was able to find, I think, his headphones or whatever. But anyways, that's just good on you. I can't
believe
Seb.
he did that, honestly. What is it? We had Fireman Seb last year. Now we've got Private Eye Seb or Chief Detective Seb on the case.
I'm telling you, if this is like a Super Smash Bros. Game, we would have all the different kind of costume outfits for him.
Be like Kirby, just taking a little bit of everyone with him.
Yeah, definitely the cherry on top of the sugar honey iced tea sundae this weekend for Vettel. Had a tough time in the race and then getting his bag stolen, finding his AirPods, but that was the only thing left in his bag. It's just, you wonder when the luck's going to change for him at Aston Martin. You hope it does. I hope for our Aston Martin's sake they can figure out their team, because it's pretty tough watching it as a fan, especially when they bring all these promising upgrades and then it looks like a carbon copy of Red Bull's concept in terms of aero and in terms of the whole package, and then it doesn't even perform. It's like you can't even do that right.
Especially after the pink Mercedes year, I think everyone was expecting a little bit more pep out of this one.
So I don't know what's going on at Aston Martin. I don't know if maybe Lawrence has to kind of rein back the controls a little bit, because clearly whatever is going on right now is just not working.
I am curious because I know that some of the commentators have been talking about with the new car this year, there's a really big focus on the floor, and some of the teams really haven't totally figured out the aerodynamics behind that and how that's going to impact the car. So I'm curious if from an overhead aesthetic perspective, Aston Martin's got that figured out, but if Red Bull's invested a little bit more time and money into the floor, and Aston just obviously can't really get a good glimpse at that the same way that you would the rest of the package for the car. And so maybe there's a couple of key pieces missing there, and the rest of the midfield, they're going to need to, well, not even midfield, backfield, outfield, out of the parking lot, I don't know what you want to say, are going to need to take a little bit more time to regroup. Yeah. I mean, Hey, this is coming from a McLaren fan. It takes time, and sometimes it comes back around. So
No, for sure. It's just very frustrating as an Aston
Yeah.
Martin fan right now, seeing like all these promising like potential, and that it does not translate at all on the weekend. And we're going into Monaco next week, and
Oh my goodness, please no.
it's just gonna be ugly.
No.
you know how we feel about Monaco if you're listening to this.
Yeah,
It's not so much about the sorry to interrupt you, Jared. It's not so much the track, but if we want to just go off statistics here, if you're a Ferrari or a Charles Leclerc fan, it's not looking good next weekend.
No.
well, he can't even keep Lauda's car out of the barrier. How do you think he can keep his own car out of the barrier?
To be fair, to be driving like a 40-plus-year-old car with like old school braking systems and all that stuff that's not necessarily been maintained to the same degree as like an F1 car someone's driving today that's used, every race week is one thing. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt there. And I'm hoping that like many people, it's like, well, he already crashed in Monaco this year, so he can't do it again.
I will give, however, I know we were just talking about McLaren there before, Erica, but I will give props to Lando Norris because he literally had his Jordan flu game.
Oh my gosh,
On
that was
Sunday.
insane. They were talking
Bless
about
him.
it being hay fever at the start of the race, and then by the end they were like, yeah, he actually has tonsillitis.
Yeah, imagine having tonsillitis while having a track temperature of 49 degrees while you're experiencing like up to 6 Gs in the body per race. That has to be so hard.
Quite frankly, like I'm trying to think of something I would rather do because my go-to is always I would rather set myself on fire, but I'm sure when it's a 45-degree track temperature or whatever, you already feel like you're on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Rick and Morty fans, I think I would jump into the vat of acid over racing in that heat with like tonsillitis. I don't know. That's the closest thing I can come up with.
So if he was not allowed to race, who would replace Lando?
So earlier in the season when Ricardo
Piastri?
had COVID, it was Piastri. Like Alpine was saying that they were willing, assuming that Alpine didn't need him for their own team, they'd be willing to lend him to McLaren if Danny Rick wasn't able to race in time. So I don't know if there's confirmation as to whether or not that was kind of like an ongoing thing or like a one-off extreme circumstance, but I have to imagine like there's someone from another team that someone would be willing to lend into the seat, right?
Because I don't think Pato O'Ward is in the position to really to race as an F1 driver right now. I think like Piastri would be a good loan for McLaren because as an F2 champion, give him that experience in F1 to race. We've had these conversations. We had this conversation before, and I think it would be a good. I think it would be a good opportunity. I don't know if Lando is going to race in Monaco. It's a week, and he had tonsillitis, and I hope he's there. He's performed really well there. He's like podium finish last year there, so. Get better, Lando. I hope you're there next weekend because you do make Monaco a great spectacle to watch.
I also think we're going to get some cool kit stuff from McLaren again this year because they've already been releasing some merch and stuff ahead of time, similar to what they did for Miami. So it would be a shame if he doesn't get to participate in that because I know he's a big fan of it as well and the fanfare around the event. So rest up, buddy.
Do you think so? I guess in a sense, we can go to our Rockstar versus Wanker segment here.
Let's do it.
A perfect segue.
Okay, so I'll go first. I think we've kind of already talked about this, but Carlos Sainz. Actually, how about this? Both the Spanish drivers on their home Grand Prix. So, as you're aware, Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso, no stranger to their homeland, especially racing in the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm just going to open up. I think it was obviously a difficult race for Carlos. I think he proved himself in qualifying that it was, there was some hope, and then it just fizzled out on turn 4.
So I gotta call Carlos, at least in this situation, a wanker. Because I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to be frustrated because we're saying like, yeah, he proved himself in qualifying. He's done that a few times now. And then in the first lap of a race or like just a couple laps in, he completely loses it. Like, I don't know if he's just not as calm under pressure as he needs to be or what. So I feel like, yeah, it's great that you're doing well in qualifying, but I need you to start being able to perform. Like, we need to see him in this car performing at the level that we know he can and that the car can, not making these mistakes. Like his start, what was that? His start off the line was terrible.
It's second, because I remember last week, 2 weeks ago, it was still the same kind of bad start too.
Yeah, just whatever's going on with the clutch there.
And he stalled the brake there, or and he stalled the clutch there. And that's why there was a big tire spin. And that's why he ended up going down to P5 from P3. I'm going to give Carlos the benefit of the doubt here. He's been able to prove with like a third place constructor's car last year that he's been able to like maximize out that optimal performance. And now that he has a car that could win, the constructors, right? It's just, I don't think he hasn't been in that position before, right? He's Toro Rosso with Renault and the McLaren before they start, being in the midfield, and then Ferrari were in the midfield last year. Now they're kind of up at the top. So he hasn't really had the chance to be able to go out there and, kind of win races, especially with the machinery that he has. There are some, mistakes out there for sure, but the way he was able to battle back from P11 up to P4 in that case was great. I know he's got the machinery to do it. I gotta give him the benefit of the doubt this week in a home race, and maybe the nerves got the better of him, but I think both of them deserve a Rockstar quality in that case, especially with Alonso starting from the back of them, literally from P20 and working all the way up into the points. Incredible race by him. And it just really to go show his caliber right there. And yeah, I can see where Ferrari fans are frustrated with Sainz, especially him being, the number 2 driver. And especially when Charles DNFs like that, you need someone to get as many points as you can back. And he kind of screwed the pooch on it. And I forget what lap it was when he completely spun into turn 4. And the reason why I'm kind of giving also the benefit of the doubt there is that Max did the same thing. Caught a bad tailwind at turn 4, and it was like back-to-back laps where the wind just kind of caught them out. I think Max was able to recover from it obviously better. He was anticipating it, and he kind of kept the car going in a straight line and did not lose as much time as Carlos could. I think Carlos just gunned it on the wheel and spun the car.
Yeah, I know that's definitely good points, and I think I definitely think that maybe it was just the home Grand Prix that can really play a factor, but like there needs to be, Matias Binotto says that like Charles has been able to figure out the car no problem, and it seems like that Carlos is still struggling and still understanding just the whole system there, what they do at Ferrari. So I mean, hopefully they can figure something out before summer, because in order for them, like Ferrari, to win constructors, they're going to need both drivers to really have to compete. And like, if there is a situation just like where Max Verstappen falls out, they at least have Checo can be there consistently, can hold or fight off a good amount until team orders come in on the seventh race.
And this was their second 1-2 of the season as well, right? So like, if Red Bull is able to pull that out multiple times, Ferrari is going to need to be able to rely on their drivers to do the same.
Yeah. I'm going to go. And then another one. So another one I have here is the Red Bull social media team. I'm going to say full on Rockstars, changing all their Red Bulls to green.
Rockstars.
I don't know if you saw that, Andrew.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was quite cheeky from them, but every right to do so. I think everybody and their mother in the F1 community had the exact same opinion on it, because it had the same venting on the side, the same box kind of look to it. It just it's embarrassing to do that, and then it's also embarrassing to like absolutely be terrible too. It's not fun.
Yeah, if you're gonna look the part, play the part.
Exactly.
Don't just do that.
This is kind of like you faking it in an interview for a job, and then you get to the job and you absolutely are out of your league, and they catch on very quick.
Just biffing it on your first day.
Exactly. So, but yeah, kudos to the Red Bull team. It was a great laugh. The memes from this week overall were incredible.
Chef's kiss.
Especially with Verstappen and his DRS issue, and then letting Checo through, or Checo letting him through.
So are you calling the team orders Rockstar or gangster or wankster?
Wanker, in my opinion. It's round 6. Like, let them race for a little bit. I get Max was catching up to them, and maybe they don't want to risk a 1-2, and obviously Max is faster, but just give Checo a chance.
And Checo earned his place in that race. Like, he deserved it.
One of the best races he's had in that car, in my opinion. He was faster than Max at a couple of points, and even like said, let me through.
Yeah.
But, wouldn't let him through, obviously, right? Because it's not number 1 on the team. And then in the event, he did get past Russell. Like a couple laps later, he caught right up to them, right? He was, and like Verstappen was holding Checo back because Verstappen couldn't pass Russell. Even, I know, DRS issue aside, like Russell's doing some great defensive driving. I just think Checo could have had a chance to pass him, especially if he had a DRS working car. Again, it's round 6. Leclerc is out. So at worst, if you're finishing 1-2, as you mentioned before the pod, Erica, like you're tied with it, or ahead by a point if he gets fastest lap for Verstappen. Yeah. Like, it's so early. I get you want to build a lead for your top driver to keep going, but let them race a little bit at least. Like, don't give that order so early, because that just causes strain on the team. And you could clearly tell with Checo that, he will do anything for the team. And that would make him such a great number 2 driver. But you could tell he was frustrated.
Yeah.
Because this is becoming like Valtteri Bottas at Red Bull now.
And a few people have made that comparison. Like, even as the broadcast was going on, the commentators were like, oh, you got to kind of wonder what's going on there. And as much as the team always has been like in the similar boat where like we have our 1-2, it's not like 2 independent people racing for a championship. Like, I don't know. I mean, unless Checo's tires were really starting to go and they were like questioning whether or not he'd be able to keep pace, and that would make Russell catch up. It just, I don't know. There's a reason they picked Checo, because they know he's capable of doing great things as a driver. Let him do the great things as a driver.
There you go. P2, fastest lap, Max P1. Great result, that one. Thank you for everything in that race.
I'm happy for the team. Yep. But we need to speak later.
Yep.
Well done, Checo. Thank you for that drive today. It was a very, very strong drive again from you. So thank you for playing the team game as well. Well done.
Yep. No worries. We speak later, mate.
As it turned out, the 3-stop was the better option. So I think we just run out of tyres at the end there.
What are your thoughts, John?
Well, I generally think that's the same thing. Like, it's still very early. It's still very early in the season. Let them race. Let's have fun. Like, clearly it's going to be a competitive 1-2 season in the constructors or in the drivers. It's still going to be pretty competitive. I don't know if we're going to have a situation where I think it was 2016 where it was like either it could have been Alonso, Vettel, or not Rockstar, Rosberg, or did I say Alonso already? Hamilton, thank you. So it could have. I don't think it's going to be like a 4-way either way, even though that would be pretty cool. But I think we already seen throughout this year it's going to be Max, Charles, a couple of Checo. Like, we got to see a little bit more of that, and a little bit more of Red Bull of them fighting each other on the track, because like, why not? But I could only imagine. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that debrief, because I think hopefully Checo gave his mind on that.
Yeah, but I think Checo's too much of a team player, especially with his contract being up in the air with the team, to like really be able to hammer it. Obviously, he should air his grievances, but I don't think he's going to be defiant in that way.
Anyone else have one to add for this week?
I do. What's everyone's thought on Pierre Gasly?
Mid.
just bid.
Like Sonoda's consistently outperforming his ass.
I'm disappointed.
What's going on? That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's just like he had a DNF in Miami. You know, Sonoda. I take a look back at the race results, right? And I think outside of maybe you know, you get a DNF in Bahrain. You know, Sonoda DNF'd in Bahrain, and Gasly finished 8th for points. And then he finished 9th, while Sonoda finished 15th lap down. But like the last few races, it's been Sonoda's in the points, and Gasly's kind of been out. There's been outsiders DNF, and it's kind of interesting when your number one driver is not performing up to your number two driver, especially like it's quite a noticeable gap, in my opinion, especially considering how Gasly wants to return to Red Bull next year.
Yeah.
He wants
Which,
that Red
like,
Bull turn, and he's doing literally nothing to support his cause right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's not. If he continues at this pace, he's not going to be continuing. And also, like, good luck getting Checo out of that seat, honestly.
I said Checo's better than any development driver that Red Bull's got going on right now, in my opinion. I think he's better than Vips. He's better than Lawson. He's better than Sonoda. Even though Yuki's still young, I think he'll definitely join the team at some point when Checo retires. But he's better than Gasly. Like, I think, because Checo's been able to prove himself as the number two driver for that team. Gasly did not.
Exactly. There's a reason why they moved him back down to Toro Rosso, now AlphaTauri, right? So I do love him as a driver, and I do think he's talented, but like you're saying, like he's got to pick up the slack and figure his stuff out.
It's because he's won with an AlphaTauri.
Yeah, like when that was Monza, like he won in the AlphaTauri. Like there's no, and we're like you're saying, like we're seeing Tsunoda consistently get into the points when he's not, you know, the driver you would expect to, and someone who has proven that they can consistently get in the points. Because Gasly was putting the pressure on people last year. Like P6 was not uncommon, and we're just not seeing that.
Hey guys, it is Richie here. Just want to do a quick update, taking a quick break from the pod, and just want to give a shout out to one of our friends, F1Ian.com. He is a media/news company, and I gave him a shout out in our last video. He provides F1 news on his Instagram and his YouTube channel, so you can find him at F1IanOfficial, and that's his Instagram, and I will post his YouTube page again below. But anyways, great guy. He has a lot of great content, so make sure to support him. Thanks so much, and let's get back to the pod.
Like I thought he was going to win a race or two this season based on how he was performing, but I guess maybe it's just this new car has caused a lot of issues for some drivers, and he's maybe one of them, right? In that case.
Yeah, I think we're gonna probably see this throughout the year. Is some of our predictions that we made, it's not really gonna fan out. My intrigue. I know I forgot to mention this, but I'm curious to see how Alonso's gonna play out for the rest of the year, and just see if Alpine doesn't re-sign him, because I think this is his contract year.
Yeah, because last year he came back.
Yeah, for 2 years.
This is the end of his second year. Yeah.
There's gotta be, they have to resign him. I think like what they got going on Alpine is going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of good results to come, and I'm excited for them in Monaco to see what they can do with that car.
I'm just curious how eager they'll be to get Piastri in a seat. And I think that might be, because they know they're sitting on a freaking gold mine here with that guy. But I don't know. I'm curious if how they're gonna handle that.
Could have three drivers and two in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm actually I wonder if this could be another scenario where even Ocon was probably the actual better driver, but then he gets cut again.
Oh God, I hope not.
He has no luck in this sport.
But he's been performing so well.
I know that, but like clearly the year when they renewed Perez, like Ocon was scoring more points than him. I think that was the 2018 season, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he has no luck in this sport. But we could talk about that later. So I'm just checking the time, and I know this one's kind of going a little bit off over. Any final thoughts? I think, as you know, we're going to Monaco. I think a lot of people know our feelings. The weather doesn't even look good for that weekend. So I'm curious to see what Monaco is going to be like in the middle
All
of a
crashes.
rainstorm.
I would love a wet race.
All
in Monaco.
crashes
I
all
think
the
this would be a
time.
lot of fun.
I minimum 5. Okay, here's my bet. Minimum 5 DNFs.
Yeah,
If it rains,
new cars, rain. Whew.
And already Monaco, where we've like the last 2 years had the weirdest of things happen.
I just pray for every Monegasque and for every Ferrari fan that Charles Leclerc finishes this race.
Doesn't matter
When
where, just finish the race, man.
Just finish the
All
Even
race.
I
if the
ask.
car gives out and he gets down on all fours and drags himself across the finish line, I just want to see him finish this race.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice. And
He'll roll a single Pirelli beside him, a hard compound tire that's just been absolutely sewered by the day's events, and drop to his knees.
And obviously, like, qualifying pace is going to be the way to go, and Ferrari has been able to consistently out-qualify Red Bull, even though Red Bull have always had the faster race pace. But as we know, Monaco is impossible to overtake on track for the most part. So I think I want to say Ferrari have the upper hand, but Mercedes looks so good with their package this week. So like, I love it. Now I really don't know what's going to happen. Like, we can predict as much as we can, but I'm excited to see a 3-horse race at the top now.
Who will win? Who will lose? Who will crash? Tune in next time to this coming up week's installment of Formula One.
Love that. That was good.
that was great. I literally just went back in time to like the 1930s, where it's like the old horror movie, like
Exactly.
tune in next time on X, Y, and Z. Oh, that was great.
Next time. Anyway, that's my contribution to this podcast.
When we went from golf earlier to this, yeah, no, that was great. Maybe that should be a sound clip, and I should just have that for. I think I just found my new soundbite. Anyways, okay. So on that note, there's a lot of excitement. There is a reasonable weekend this weekend in Spain. Curious to see how Monaco will turn out with rain. Just gonna see how the next couple of days play out. We will record next week, probably on the Sunday, but we'll keep everybody posted. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And we really appreciate all the support and everybody with all your comments and stuff. I think now we're now at 70 subscribers on Instagram. Can we get to 100 by September? That's my challenge to the people.
100 by September, we can definitely do that.
So if you like this podcast, hit those follow buttons and contribute. We love our fans. We love our fan questions. I know this weekend was a long weekend for us, for a lot of people in Canada, so they were probably not tuned in as much, but everyone will be back up and at 'em tomorrow and next weekend. And
It's Monaco, baby.
And not only that, 25 days till the Canadian Grand Prix. So
Yeah.
Woo!
we still need to get Andrew there. So please, my sponsors, please get Andrew Cleary to Montreal.
Yeah, I can't afford this.
Hospitality suite.
I can't afford the third-party ticket right now.
Oh, you could not afford the Paddock VIP pass for $5,000 for the weekend?
No, unfortunately, I don't have that in the account right now.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I have to swipe a few credit cards to get that. But my birthday.
How do you feel about
my
a
birthday
26
is this Saturday, so if the sponsor wants to give me an early birthday present.
I'm also 1 year from 30, and I am now scared because my birthday was last week. So,
Oh no! Speaking of Monaco, I told my family that for my 30th birthday, I'll be going to the Monaco Grand Prix, which is usually kind of around my birthday weekend. So
amazing.
we're gonna do that in a few years. We're gonna get the pod to Monaco.
Gonna get ourselves a yacht.
And Kimmy's gonna come during the race and sit down in his races in his suit.
Even if it's like one of those like little fishing boats that we just park next to like Tom Brady's yacht or whatever, like that's fine by me, man. Fine by me. Anyways,
it's technically a yacht. in a way, maybe.
It's a yacht in my eyes, okay?
Yeah, we're
No,
partying
it's
on
a
it. That's all you
fishing,
need.
it's a fishing dinghy that we've named Yacht.
Yacht.
So on the paperwork, it says Yacht.
HMS Yacht.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Andrew, do you want to send us off?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to the Monaco Grand Prix. So if you could hit the subscribe, like button, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts. We want to get to 100 followers by the end of September, which I think is very doable with all your help. Thank you again for all the fan support. We love you to death. And we are excited to bring back another episode next week because we have our first back-to-back of the year, people. Monaco, baby. Let's freaking go.
Wow. Sometimes you got to do it the hard way. Well done, Max.